You've probably experienced it, constantly worrying about not having enough. It's not just about money, it's a mindset that permeates every decision. Scarcity isn't just about a lack of resources, it's a psychological state, a lens through which we view the world. The more we believe that there is never enough, the tighter we grip, the more we accumulate, yet we never feel satisfied. But here's the contradiction. The harder we hold on, the more restricted we become. By focusing on what we might lose, we trap ourselves in a constant state of fear, preventing growth and opportunities. It's not about a lack of resources. It's about a deep-rooted fear of scarcity that clouds our ability to see abundance. This mindset leads to poor financial decisions, the kind that limit our potential and create unnecessary stress. We think we're protecting ourselves, but in reality, we're simply feeding the cycle of fear that keeps us stuck in place. At the core of the scarcity mindset is a fear that many don't even realize they have. It's not just about money, it's about control. The fear that there won't be enough, that we'll never be safe. And it's this deep fear that drives us to make irrational financial decisions. We cling to what we have, afraid to spend, to invest, to grow, because we see every expenditure as a potential loss. What's fascinating is that this fear often manifests in ways that we don't recognize. We think we're being prudent, careful even, but in reality we're operating out of anxiety. This isn't about making sound financial choices. It's about the emotional weight we carry around the belief that there's a limited amount of resources, and if we don't hold tightly to them, we'll run out. The more we act out of fear, the more our choices reinforce the very thing we fear, not having enough. The cycle continues, and each decision only tightens the grip of scarcity. The most insidious part of the scarcity mindset is how it keeps us stuck. We're constantly chasing security, yet never truly feeling secure. The fear of losing what we have leads to more control, but ironically, it's the control that prevents growth. We don't take risks, we avoid investments, we save money, but without a plan to grow it. This creates a paradox. We're trying to ensure our future, but we're doing it in a way that actively limits our opportunities. When we operate from a scarcity mindset, every decision is a reaction to fear. We may think we're playing it safe, but in truth, we're just avoiding the discomfort of uncertainty. The fear of loss becomes so overpowering that we stop making choices that might lead to growth. Instead, we cling to what we know, even if it's not serving us. The reality is that not making decisions, or making decisions out of fear, keeps us stagnant. The financial safety we're seeking is an illusion, a false sense of security built on the idea that keeping everything the same will keep us safe. But all it does is prevent us from moving forward. We all want to feel in control, especially when it comes to money. It gives us a sense of security, like we are steering the ship of our financial future. But here's the hidden truth. The more we try to control, the less we actually manage. The illusion of control is one of the most powerful forces at play in our financial decisions. We check our portfolios obsessively, adjust investments every few days, and avoid risks out of fear. But what we don't realize is that this desire for control is rooted in anxiety, not logic. Control feels good because it gives us the illusion of certainty. We think that by managing every detail, we can avoid loss. Yet, in reality, we're simply trying to protect ourselves from the discomfort of uncertainty. The fear of the unknown drives us to act, but ironically, it often leads to decisions that limit our potential rather than expand it. When we believe we must have control over every outcome, we fall into a trap. We avoid taking the necessary steps for growth because we fear the unpredictability of the process. True financial progress comes when we can accept uncertainty and make decisions based on long-term values, not just a desperate attempt to control every variable. Perfectionism in finances might sound like a good thing, wanting to make the right decisions, avoid mistakes, and get everything just right. But it's a silent destroyer. The drive for financial perfection doesn't stem from a genuine desire to build wealth. It comes from the fear of failure. The need to get everything perfect is actually an attempt to avoid the uncomfortable feelings of inadequacy that arise when things don't go according to plan. The truth is, perfectionism leads to inaction. You delay decisions, wait for the perfect moment, and put off investments or savings plans because you believe that until everything aligns perfectly, it's better to do nothing. This paralysis by analysis keeps you stuck, unable to make real progress. The perfectionist is afraid to take risks because even a small mistake feels like a personal failure. But here's the contradiction. Perfection isn't what leads to financial success. Progress does. Mistakes are part of the learning process, and not every financial decision needs to be flawless. By trying to control every detail, we miss out on opportunities that come from growth, experimentation, and learning from missteps. True financial freedom isn't about getting it perfect. It's about consistently moving forward, learning, and adapting. We don't just buy things because we want them. We buy them because we want to be seen with them. This desire to signal success, wealth, or status can deeply influence our financial behavior. We may tell ourselves that we're investing in something valuable, but often, we're actually investing in our image. This is driven by the internal need to be admired or to feel worthy in the eyes of others. The problem with using money as a tool for status is that it's a never-ending cycle. The moment we acquire one thing, we seek something else to keep up with the ever-changing standards of success. The desire to fit in, to be seen as successful, pushes us to make decisions that don't align with our personal values or long-term financial goals. These decisions are often made not from a place of rational planning, but out of a fear of being perceived as inadequate or behind. It's not just about buying items, it's about buying approval. And, as with any external validation, it's fleeting. No matter how many luxury items we acquire or how many status symbols we display, the void remains. The real emptiness comes not from what we lack financially, but from the emotional need to prove our worth to others. Breaking free from this cycle requires self-awareness and the ability to make financial decisions, not based on what others think, but on what aligns with your true values and goals. True financial freedom starts when we stop measuring success by external standards and begin defining it by what truly brings us fulfillment. FOMO isn't just a buzzword. It's a real and powerful force that drives many of our financial decisions. It's the fear of missing out on the latest investment trend, the next big opportunity, or the fear of being left behind in a financial race. This anxiety pushes us to make decisions based on what others are doing, rather than on what truly aligns with our financial goals. What's important to understand is that FOMO isn't just about wanting to make money. It's about the fear of inadequacy and social comparison. When we see others profiting from an opportunity, our fear of being left behind often overpowers our better judgment. We jump into investments that we don't fully understand, or we buy things that others have, hoping that it will bring us the same sense of success. The key here is recognizing that this anxiety-driven behavior leads to poor decision-making. Financial decisions should be based on research, strategy, and personal goals, not on emotional reactions to what others are doing. FOMO is rooted in fear, and fear clouds our ability to make thoughtful, long-term decisions. By understanding that FOMO is based on emotional triggers and not logical financial thinking, we can begin to detach ourselves from the need to keep up with others. True financial clarity comes when we stop acting from a place of fear and instead start making decisions with confidence and purpose. It may sound counterintuitive, but sometimes we don't just fear failure, we fear success. The idea of achieving wealth and stability can trigger feelings of discomfort, unease, and even guilt. It's not that we don't want success, it's that we often feel unworthy of it, or we fear the changes it will bring. The fear of what success could require of us, higher expectations, more responsibility, and a shift in our identity, can lead us to subconsciously sabotage our own progress. This fear often manifests in subtle ways. You might avoid opportunities that could lead to growth, either by procrastinating or by making impulsive decisions that derail progress. This fear is rooted in self-doubt, the belief that achieving success would make us too different from who we are now, or that we wouldn't be able to handle the pressure that comes with it. The truth is, this fear isn't about the wealth itself. It's about what the wealth represents. It's about the fear of losing control over our lives or of being held to new higher standards. But the reality is that avoiding success doesn't protect us from change. It keeps us stuck in place. Embracing success requires us to embrace growth and the responsibility that comes with it. By confronting this fear head-on, we can break the cycle of self-sabotage and begin to make decisions that lead us to true abundance. Understanding that success is not a threat, but an opportunity for transformation, is the key to unlocking the freedom and wealth we deserve. Living with a scarcity mindset doesn't just impact your financial situation, it takes a serious toll on your mental health. The constant worry about not having enough, the obsession with saving and holding on, and the anxiety about the future can create chronic stress and burnout. It's exhausting. The more you focus on what you might lose, the less energy you have for what you could gain. This mental cost is often overlooked. We focus on the external aspect of money, how much we have or don't have, but we ignore the emotional drain of living in constant fear of loss. The stress of maintaining this mindset affects not only our financial decisions, but also our physical health, relationships, and overall well-being. We become so focused on surviving that we forget what it feels like to thrive. The irony here is that living in scarcity doesn't actually protect us from future hardship. In fact, it can perpetuate the cycle of fear, leading to more stress, more poor decisions, and more financial instability. True financial freedom doesn't come from hoarding or obsessively controlling every decision. It comes from mental clarity and the ability to make decisions based on long-term goals, not emotional reactions. By shifting away from the scarcity mindset, you free yourself from the constant anxiety and open up space for more strategic, thoughtful decisions. The key to breaking free from this mental trap is recognizing the cost of living in fear and choosing a different path, one based on growth and abundance. Shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset is one of the most challenging, yet most empowering changes you can make. It requires letting go of the fear that resources are limited and embracing the idea that opportunities are abundant. It's not about magically attracting wealth. It's about changing the way you perceive and interact with money. When you operate from an abundance mindset, you see opportunities everywhere. You view setbacks as learning experiences rather than threats. You stop hoarding your resources out of fear and start using them as tools for growth. Whether it's investing in yourself, learning new skills, or taking calculated risks. The key is to stop reacting out of fear and start acting with intention. The paradox is that the more you give, the more you receive. When you share your knowledge, resources, and opportunities with others, you build a network of abundance around you. You stop thinking in terms of what you lack and start focusing on what you can create. This shift in perspective is what enables true financial freedom, not just accumulating money, but accumulating the ability to make empowered, intentional decisions that align with your long-term vision. Financial freedom comes when you realize that wealth is not something to hoard or control. It's something to invest in, and the first investment should always be in your own growth and mindset. Embrace abundance, and you'll find that your financial decisions, your life, and your future begin to unfold with greater ease and clarity. The cycle of fear and anxiety around money doesn't just break itself. It takes awareness and deliberate action. The first step in breaking free is to recognize when fear is controlling your decisions. Are you avoiding investments because of the possibility of loss? Are you making decisions from a place of panic, hoping to solve future problems by holding tightly to what you have now? The discomfort you feel when you think about making financial moves comes from the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure. But staying in this state of fear keeps you in a cycle of inaction, and inaction leads to missed opportunities. The key to breaking this cycle is to take small steps toward clarity. It's about moving out of fear and into calm, intentional decisions based on your true values and long-term goals. This doesn't mean that fear will disappear completely. Fear is a natural response, but you don't need to let it control you. When you recognize fear for what it is, an emotional reaction to uncertainty, you can begin to make decisions with confidence, knowing that growth often comes from embracing uncertainty, not avoiding it. Breaking the cycle means accepting that mistakes will happen, but those mistakes won't define you. They'll teach you. Each decision you make with intention, no matter the outcome, builds your financial clarity. You are the one in control, not your fears. The ultimate goal of financial freedom isn't just about accumulating wealth, it's about mastering your inner world. Once you gain control over your thoughts, fears, and behaviors, money no longer controls you. You control it. To embrace abundance is to step away from the mindset of scarcity. It's to stop reacting to fear and start making decisions based on your values and vision. The truth is, the more you focus on growth and opportunities, the more wealth naturally follows. It doesn't happen by clinging to what you have or hoarding for the future. It happens by confidently using what you have to create more. This shift isn't instantaneous. It requires the courage to make decisions based on long-term growth, the confidence to invest in yourself, and the wisdom to manage resources without fear of losing them. It's about seeing money as a tool for creating a life you want, rather than something that keeps you in a cycle of anxiety. True freedom comes when you align your financial decisions with your inner truth. When you stop making choices out of fear or societal expectations and start making them from a place of self-awareness and purpose, you unlock the power of abundance. Financial freedom is less about wealth itself and more about the clarity and control you gain over your own life and decisions. In the end, financial freedom is not about accumulating wealth, assets, or status. It's about the internal mastery of your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. When you gain control over the psychological forces that drive your financial decisions, you unlock the ability to make empowered choices, free from fear, doubt, and anxiety. Every financial choice you make reflects your internal state. Whether it's a purchase, an investment, or a savings goal, the motivation behind that decision often stems from deeper, subconscious fears. Fear of inadequacy, fear of failure, or the need for external validation. These fears shape our financial outcomes, but they don't have to control us. The key realization is that you are in control. Financial decisions no longer have to be governed by fear. When you recognize the hidden patterns and emotional drivers behind your choices, you can begin to act intentionally, not react impulsively. True financial freedom isn't about perfection. It's about embracing the messiness of life, making decisions that align with your values, and confidently taking steps toward long-term growth. Ultimately, financial freedom is about mastering your inner world. When you gain clarity over what drives your choices, you take control of your financial future. You stop letting fear dictate your actions, and you start acting with purpose and intention. This is where true wealth begins, not just in your bank account, but in your mind.